Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Samp and Chance. I am your host, Bobby Sampson, joined as always with me, my man with the master plan, Mr. Chance Michaels. Chance, how you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Can't complain, man. One of my favorite days. We get to talk about boxing. So yeah, let's get
Yeah.
into it. As Cody Rhodes would say, what do you want to talk about?
Let's do it.
Devin Haney and Lomachenko. Let's just get right to it, man.
Sure.
I'll tell you this right now. In my opinion, after the fight, I thought Lomo had won.
Me too.
But going back now, looking at it, I don't have a problem with the 7-5 to Haney. Like it was such a close fight, man. I wouldn't call it robbery. I wouldn't call it robbery, but the 16-12 was wrong. I'll say
Very
that.
wrong.
Very, very wrong. This fight could have gone anyway. But ultimately, I think Haney did enough. And don't get me wrong, Lomo had his moments, right? If you haven't, go back and watch the 5th and 6th round again, and you can see that he's throwing a lot, but he's not landing everything as well. So, and if you look at the stats overall, like I mean, the body work that Haney did and what have you, just it just feel like Lomo would go, but he didn't finish. Does that make sense? You know where I'm coming from?
Well,
Like
I
that's
guess,
just
but Loma landed more punches, 124 to 110. He pressed the action, and I call it a robbery only because the undisputed belts are on the line. Those are Loma's belts. He won a close fight. De La Hoya says 8-4. I think that's a little extreme. 7-5. Loma. He won the championship rounds. I mean, I call it a robbery because those 4 belts are his. He's the best at 135. He proved it. Although it was very close, like you said, Haney is no slouch. But I've watched it 3 times. I come to the same conclusion. Loma won, and he won the championship rounds, and he pressed the action. He landed more shots overall, only 14 more, but he still landed. So he lands more shots. He pushes the pace. What does the guy got to do to win? I don't know what the judges are seeing. The biggest robbery of it all was round 10. One of the judges gave round 10 to Haney.
Yeah.
Moretti.
No. Well, here's the thing. Like, let's look at Moretti right now. Then let's look at judging, and I think we're coming off a lot of bad judging in the last little while, and this just kind of compounds it all when you see something like this, right?
And you know what's funny? One more thing I got to bring up before you get that. The fans were 95% Haney, cheering for Haney. When they heard that decision, they all booed because they knew what happened. They knew that was garbage. They knew
No. I disagree with you. I was watching a different fight thing because that was a very pro Lomo crowd, man. Like
well, 95% of people there for cheering for Haney. Then they switched when Loma brought the action. Then because when Haney pushed Loma, that turned the tide a little bit.
Oh, that totally turned the tide. Right. That totally turned the tide.
I call it a robbery only because the 4 undisputed belts should have went to Loma when he didn't get them, and that's not right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, like I said, 15-13 is a fair scorecard. It could have gone either way. The judges had probably the hardest job of the night. Like, you know what I mean? Like that whole card was great. Everything was great up until, and even that fight was
I said last week, I hope it's going to be a good fight. I had Loma winning by decision, but I think he did. But I don't want to see controversy, and I knew that was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, see, that's the thing. It's just like I'm not like I don't think it's as controversial anymore after having time to sit on it and watch it again, like you have as well. I mean, 15-13 either way would have been fine, right? I have complete, issue with the 16-12. That shouldn't have happened in any realm, in any world. Dave Moriarty, that dude has been judging since the 70s.
Yeah, I know. He flubbed around 10, especially.
No, but he's flubbed a lot. Like, he's 70 years old. Like, at what age does a judge have to retire? Especially at boxing.
No age limit.
Right? Like, but there should be. I think these are some of the things that need to be looked at. Like, okay, what's the lifespan of a judge? This guy was judging when Larry Holmes was world champion.
Yeah, I know. Well, they figured he's got the experience. He'd be a good judge, but obviously, I don't know what he's seen in round 10, but I feel bad for Loma. He landed more punches. He brought the action. He won the championship rounds, and he still doesn't get the decision. It's an injustice, man. That's the wrong thing about boxing. A good night ruined by bad judging. Once again, as always.
Well, he landed 124 of 500.
Yeah, he landed 110.
Yeah, and Haney got 110. But I mean, I'm looking at the body shots as well. Like, I mean, that had to play some sort of role here. I mean, if you look at it, Lomo only hit the body once.
Yeah, so Haney beat him in body shots, but then Loma hit more to the head and more to the chest. So
but a lot of what Loma was throwing wasn't landing, though. Like,
look, he landed more. He landed 124 to 110. He landed more shots. Right. Even though he threw more, he still landed more.
Right, but I think what Loma was failing in, and just again, I mean, nothing against either guy. This was just an amazing fight through and through. The
It
fight
was,
itself
but it's
was
got a
awesome.
stain on it now. That's the thing. It's stained. So anytime you talk about it, 70% of people are going to say Loma won. The other 30 say Haney. But either way, it's stained.
No,
There's no clear cut winner, right? That's the
you
problem.
I don't think that's the case. I mean, I think that's too extreme for me. Anyways, that's too extreme. I'm not awesome. That's
Yeah,
your
but
opinion.
everybody I've talked to said, "Man, Loma got robbed. Loma, what happened?" Like nobody's saying, "Man, Haney deserves it." Like some people
No,
are, but the majority are saying Loma.
no,
So it stains the night because of bad judging.
right. But all I'm saying is, I don't think it's taken to the extreme that it's being taken by fans. To be honest, I mean, you want to talk about robberies? Let's talk about Hagler Sugar Ray. That was a robbery.
Well, this was
Uh,
too because it's four undisputed belts that should have went to Loma.
right. Pacquiao Bradley. That was a robbery. Right? Like, I mean, those are legit. This was just such a close fight, man. I mean, 11 and 10, 10 and 11 for sure. Were Lomos, 100%. The middle rounds were Lomos, but I mean, Haney also did enough there as well, right? I think the only thing that took away from Lomo is that he came on strong, but he didn't finish what he was doing at the rounds. Like, he had spurts per round. You know what I mean?
Mm.
That's the way I saw it. And I think that's why I think the two judges who scored it 15-13 scored it as well that way. I feel really
Stain on
bad.
boxing, man. Even if people want to say Haney or Lomo, it's a stain because it's too much controversy and it's just an amazing fight ruined. This happens too often in boxing, and it's not
Well,
going to change anytime soon. That's the
no,
sad.
I mean, it's not going to end anytime soon, but you know what? We trudge along, man. I mean, it is what it
Yep,
is. But overall, I mean, the fight was great. I mean,
it
it
was
just
good.
back and forth. Uh, Lomo, I felt, was playing possum for the last 2 years, it feels like, if that was the case. I mean, at 35, that performance, I looked like Loma of old. I mean, he was
I
reading
think
him.
Shakur Stevenson said it best. Loma won, and he's the best at 135. I mean, Shakur said it best. I mean, he was right there, and it's just like, that's just, yeah, it's too bad, man. I feel bad for the guy.
Well,
He'll
I
fight
mean,
again. He'll have a big fight, but
he'll fight again. We'll see. I mean, never say never, right? I mean, if this is the case, I mean, let's see what goes down here. I mean, let's take into account also that Haney tripled in size for the fight. So I mean,
mm.
that's the other thing I'd like to talk about here, if we can, very quickly. I know there's no answers, or if there are answers, I don't know what they are. Maybe you do. Why have weight classes if guys are going to come in 10 pounds heavier on the day of the fight? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's almost, isn't that
Well, they have the
cheating
weight
in its own
classes for
way?
safety by the athletic commissions. Where you got to weigh in at your fight. You're supposed to fight at. Then if you want to hydrate up and put on 10 pounds, that's on you. But they do it for safety, in case you kill somebody
No,
in the
no,
ring.
I get
But
it, right? But you have a greater chance of killing someone in the ring. You both weigh in at 135. What's the most Solomo's going to go up? 140 maybe?
probably, yeah, Haney was probably 150, 155 in there.
Right? So I mean, you take that into account as well. So I mean, hats off to both guys. Hats off to
That
Lomo
was a
for
great
fighting the
fight.
bigger man. It was a great fight. The judging
Oh
was
yeah,
the
pay per view wise, like I said, 150,000, which is not that great, but it's not
no,
bad. And they had a gate of, I can't remember what the gate was. They had a few million off of it, but I mean,
yeah,
it was a
they
cheap pay
sold.
per view, but it still didn't sell that much because these guys aren't really well known, right?
Well, like I said, this is for the boxing purists and for the boxing fan.
Put it this way: Tank and Garcia did 10 times the pay per view buys. That's a
I get
lot.
it, but I mean, that's a lot of social media input. That's a lot of, kids and everything else.
Yeah,
That kind of ties into it all, right? That's
that
what did it
does.
for
This
them,
was a
right?
better fight. It just wish more people got to see it.
Hands down, man. Hands down, one of the classics. So, that will go
Yeah,
down
it was
as
beautiful,
one of the classics.
amazing, high level stuff, and
But
man,
another
rematch
reason,
would be huge.
listen, I get everyone's opinion and whatnot, but we have to give Devin Haney some credit here as well. I mean,
What a good fight.
he fought a great fight as well, right? I mean, and I feel bad for him as I do for Lomo.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that these guys have to deal with this shit because of bad judging,
I know.
right? But ultimately, like I said, I don't have a problem with the 15-13 on either with those two. Like I did. It could have gone either way, 15-13. I wouldn't have had a problem with it.
I would just like to
But
ask them already a couple things. So if Lomo landed more, he pushed the pace. He clearly won the championship rounds. How do you see it 116, 112? And how do you give round 10 the most dominant round that Loma had to Haney?
Yeah,
Come on,
no, that's bullshit. That's
that's
bullshit.
insane.
But I wouldn't give him round 12 though. I gave Haney round 12,
That was close. That was close.
right? I did give Haney round 12 in
De
that
La Hoya said
championship.
he was there. He's like, Loma will run round 12. That was close, but I don't know, man. It's like I said, it's never. It's always gonna be debated now. It's nobody's
Well,
ever
hey,
agreed.
you know what? I mean,
Okay?
it's something to talk about years to come down the road. We can talk about it. It's going to make the list of, the robberies of the century.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't think it's a robbery though. I think, Moriarty's card's a robbery. Yeah, I had no problem
Yeah.
with the other two cards. I don't have a problem now with who won. Um, it was just very,
I
very
do
close.
because those were Loma should have had those belts because he won. He edged it out. It was close, but he edged it out and he did more. And he had I don't know. And he
Fair
doesn't
enough,
get the
man.
belt.
Like I said, I love both guys very, very much. I would love
I
watching them
lost a lot of
fight.
respect for Haney though. He's a little bit of a crybaby. That push that he did. His dad is being a bit of a smug guy. We dominated the fight. There's no rematch. No, you didn't, dude. Everybody's saying you didn't, but you're saying because he knows like crap. We don't want this guy again.
No,
They don't.
well,
They'll
no.
never rematch. I doubt it.
Well, everything in the moment. Let's see what transpires as they start to prevail. I know Loma's camp has sent letters to all the governing bodies asking for a review and
It
whatnot.
doesn't
So let's
fucking
see.
do nothing.
No. It's all going to fall on deaf ears. But you know what? I think I think this moment is a good opportunity for the people in charge and what have you to kind of look at judging now and let's fix it. Like we got to have some parameters to it. I mean, boxing judging isn't easy, right? We
No,
all
it's
know that.
tough.
It's very tough. It's not the easiest thing to judge. I mean, we can sit at home and we can judge it, but our views and everything are a little different from the guys who are sitting ringside. Do they
Mm-hmm.
need monitors? Do they need to be sitting in one of those kind of cubicle things with curtains around them where they're alone watching that fight? You know what I mean? To kind of get them
Yeah.
undistracted. I mean, a lot of the times, like, I've seen videos where judges are looking at their phone while the fight's happening. Why aren't you paying attention to what you're supposed to be
Should
doing?
be. You should be.
But they have. I've seen it done. I've seen it in UFC. I've seen it in boxing. I've seen it in different other sports where there's judging like that. And you look down and the guy's looking, at an article on his phone while the fight's happening.
Yeah.
Right? What are you watching? So I think, there needs to be something done. I think we talked about this last show as well. Maybe just put chips in the gloves and let the bots do it.
I don't know how that would work, but yeah, I don't
But
know if
the technology's
yeah.
there, bro. They can figure it out, right? I mean, they
But it
do
wouldn't
it with
matter because Lomo landed more punches and he still lost, so it wouldn't even matter.
no. If
Judges
that's the
score.
case, right. But if they let the bots decide and they're basically solely basing it on punches thrown, like the Olympics, like they have little chips and stuff in those gloves and stuff like that to kind of guide and counter.
Yeah.
The technology's there, bro. If they want to do it, they can figure it out. I know they can, right? I mean,
Yeah.
shit. If
I
they
think
can
they
take
will.
if they can take pictures of Jupiter and Uranus and Neptune, then I don't see why they can't do something like that. Mind you, though, that being said, no one yet can take a HD or a clear picture of Bigfoot or something. It's always grainy and shit. Or UFO pictures are always grainy and shit. Why can't we just get a high definition one?
They probably have. We probably haven't seen them. It's got
Right?
to be.
Right? All right, let's move on. So that was probably the biggest upset of the evening, but that rest of the card delivered, man. Let's
It
talk a little bit about the co-main event on this one, man. Your
do
thoughts?
it. The Valdez Lopez fight.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Valdez looked decent. I mean, he looked good. He's been out of the ring for 1 year. I mean, he pushed the pace. He had good head movement. I mean, he got cut the constant pressure on him. Rosenberger fought better than I thought. He had good footwork, kept him back. It's a good fight. Valdez won. I don't think he's looking as great as people said he was. I mean, Lopez is. I mean, sorry, Rosenberger. Lopez is not exactly the top guy. This is a tune-up fight for him to get back into the mix. I just
Yeah.
don't see Valdez beating guys like Shakur, Loma,
Well,
any of those.
we've already seen him fight.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He kind of
Sure,
wants a
right?
rematch, but he looked good.
Yeah. No, he
I mean,
looked good.
he was with Eddie Reynoso there. He looked good, man. I
Yeah.
mean, but
Well,
Lopez held his own.
hey, man, like I said, there's levels to the game, right? And at
Mm-hmm.
his level, he's one of the best. But when you do put him up there at the upper echelon of levels, so to speak,
Yeah.
you're gonna get exposed. And we were there live for that exposing.
I'm
So
not sure why he took a year out of the ring. I'm not sure. Was he hurt? I'm not sure why. That's a
I
long.
think it just, you know what, I don't have the exact answer, but I think after losing the way he did to Stevenson, I mean, he was just dominated there. Like he was
Yeah.
I'll be honest. He was emancipated in a lot of ways by
Yeah,
Stevenson. Like everything you thought you were good at, everything. It's like the guy who plays FIFA at home by himself, and he does kick ass all the time. And the buddy comes over and plays against him, and he looks complete shit.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like he
yeah.
was
I know what you
fucking.
mean.
So in a way, it's kind of like he went back to the drawing board and kind of looked at everything and said, "Okay, I need to improve here. I need to improve there." Which is why I'm saying sometimes losing is the best thing that can happen to a person, man. You go
Sometimes,
six, right? You go undefeated for so long, and then all of a sudden you finally lose. It shows you what you're made of. I think athletes that lose and come back are the ones that I admire because then you've had to dig deep.
mhm.
You had to go back to places where you thought you didn't have to go. You know what I mean? To kind of
Yeah,
understand yourself again. It's kind of like that Rocky, it all kind of ties back to Rocky at the end of the day. Like you lose to Clubber Lang, and then he has to find his way with um, what's his name, Apollo. So
yeah.
I
No, you're right.
admire that,
Sometimes a
right?
loss is good.
Like I mean, who knows what kind of man Mayweather would be if he actually had a blemish on his record.
Yeah, he probably should have had one or two. He got a couple gifted decisions.
Well, I got about 3 or 4, man. I think you're being
Yeah.
generous with that, right? But
Then we got that Nakatani versus Maloney fight, man. Nakatani's a 2 division world champion,
yeah,
pride of Japan.
yeah,
Knockout was vicious in the 12th round, man.
I
Holy cow!
know, I know. I was
He's
saying that like,
probably
oh
they
my
probably should have
God.
stopped him when he got knocked out the round before. But I got to give Maloney credit for fighting on. But man, Nakatani knocked him out cold.
Like I
This
said,
is
man,
vicious. Probably KO of the year.
yeah, no, that whole card was sick, man. And the
It was.
prelim,
Ollie
the
Walsh is
main
on the
event, yeah,
prelim.
Ali Walsh was in there as well. Our
He
friend
didn't look very
Fitch.
good either, though.
Well, I mean, he won, but I mean,
No, it was a split draw.
oh, was it a split draw?
Split draw, yeah,
Pardon
versus
me,
Danny
pardon me,
Rosenberg.
pardon
Yeah.
me, pardon
Well,
me.
yeah, I mean, Ollie, like, I was writing notes as I was watching it. I mean, he kept the high guard up. I
Yeah,
mean, he was peppering with quick jabs, but Danny had good footwork, and he prevented Ali from establishing his defense. So anytime Ali would come in on him, he'd use his footwork, get out of there. Ali had super high guard, let them open for the body, and Rosenberger just uses good footwork, pressured him, and we have a split draw.
yeah,
And he was a mega favorite for this fight. It's like an 8-1, 9-1 favorite. So that is a huge upset. The fact that he's supposed to knock Danny Rosenberg is 13-9.
yeah.
He's a journeyman at best.
Yeah. Well,
Ollie
like I
didn't look
said,
that good.
we've seen him fight as well live, right?
Yeah,
Every time I've seen the kid fight, he looks amazing.
yeah.
But I guess there comes a
Not
point
last.
like well, not last night, but not every fight's gonna be a cracker, right? I
No,
mean,
but when you're fighting a journeyman and you want to become the upper
hey,
echelon guy, you got to
and
finish
again,
him.
that shows where levels are now, right? Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you can have skill levels, but the maturity has levels as well,
Yeah.
right? Just that
That
growing
was only an
has
8 round
levels.
fight too, and he just, yeah, it was a draw. I
Yeah,
thought the draw was fair. That was fair.
no, fair enough. No issues with that as well. But like I said, that whole entire card was really good.
Good
Mark,
value, cheap tickets to get
yeah,
in, cheap
no,
pay per view.
you couldn't go wrong with that as well, right? And you bought the
Great.
pay-per-view as well, right?
I did. Oh yeah, yeah. It was yeah.
Yeah.
I want to put money in their pocket. That was a good card, man.
No, it was
Top
a
to
very
bottom.
good card. Very
Even the
good
free
card.
fights were good. Like that
Yep.
was a free fight we just talked about. So
Yeah.
we saw knockouts. We saw two of the best in the world fight. I mean, what else can you
No,
ask for?
100%. No, it was a good night. It was a
Yeah,
very good night. But that's earlier that afternoon in Ireland. We had the homecoming of Katie Taylor. I think this was the first boxing event in Ireland since 2015 or 2016.
yeah. It's been a while.
So do you know why?
I'm not sure why. What was the reason
Okay,
for that?
so I looked into this. I dug deep because one question I had was if Katie Taylor is such a big name, and why hasn't she fought in Ireland earlier? Like, why is it taking so long and so late in her career to finally get the opportunity to do so? And then I started doing some digging and some research, and I realized, and I didn't even correlate this. I heard about this at the time. I didn't think about it. Um, there was a shooting at a hotel in Ireland in 2015, 2016, somewhere around there, between two feuding gangs, Irish mafia type stuff,
Yeah,
in during a weigh-in for a fight. So there's a guy on the scale. He's standing there like this, and the music playing is Triple H's game. And all of a sudden, you hear the like AK-47s going off, and everyone just running out. So apparently, boxing, mafia, gangsters, they all kind of go hand in hand, unfortunately, right?
that's a great segue for my boxing history tonight.
All right, cool. We'll get right to it, but let me finish this little thought. Uh, Gangsters, mafia, boxing go hand in hand in a lot of ways. Old time
Absolutely.
boxing, blah blah blah. But I guess still in the modern times, they still
It
play a
does.
role,
It's
right?
not really North America anymore, but out in Ireland and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, in the UK and the Ireland, it still plays a
Where's the
very.
security patting these guys on? How do they get these stuffs in the event?
Okay, so what they did is they dressed up as police.
There you go. That's
They
one way to
came,
do it.
they came in. One guy was dressed up as a woman, and all the other guys were all dressed up as police officers, like
Wow.
with the vest and everything. So they must have ripped off these uniforms or got them somehow, and they went in there and they killed a gang member,
Wow.
one of the rival gang guys.
Did they get caught?
I don't know, to be honest,
Wow.
man. But since then, they haven't had boxing or anything like that in Ireland, right? So one of the things that came out of this fight was this night of fights in Ireland was that no one talked about that incident. No one talked about the fact that a lot of those guys that were probably involved in it or had a role in it in some part were all in the front row watching the fights.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so that was kind of an interesting thing. I just wanted to throw that out there. So
Yeah,
this
I
is
didn't know
why it's
that.
taken Katie Taylor so long to get home and fight. And I'm gonna say this right off the bat, man. Katie Taylor could have taken an easier fight, could have gone an easier route, could have done it so much easier, but she took the harder fight.
Did, yeah.
She took a very, very hard fight. And ladies and gentlemen, Katie Taylor has officially lost her first match. Uh, I'll say this, man. I don't know if you watched it or not, but
I did. I did,
yeah.
yeah.
So Katie looked really slow. She had nothing going for her for the first 3 rounds. She just looked like depleted. Now I'm thinking to myself, okay, all this homecoming stuff, everything she's been doing, all the pressure of it is just now finally wearing on her because she looked gassed, man. She didn't look fresh at all.
Either that or
She
she wasn't training hard enough.
no, I don't think training was the issue, man. I think she just got gas from all the activity, all the media, everything, just overwhelmed with the whole homecoming thing. Um, meeting up with the lady who fought Christy Allen, in Ireland, the last woman, she's also from Ireland. And
Yeah.
there was so much going on for her during this whole build-up and everything. Rochelle Tan Cameron just sat back and just enjoyed it and relaxed. And to be fair, man, she was the better
She
fighter
was.
that
That was a
night.
big upset. That's a big
That was a
upset.
huge upset. And granted to Katie, she came back, and fought her heart out and made it close somewhat. But Chantel Cameron, but mind you, by that point, Cameron's starting to wear down herself by the
Yeah, she's
later
starting to get
rounds,
gassed a little bit.
right? But if you look at both of them at the end of 3 rounds, you look at Katie Taylor, her braids open, her hair's frayed all over the place. Cameron's looking nice and clean and just all put together. A bad night for Katie Taylor through and through, man. A
Great
lot
night
of
for. Oh,
a great night for Chantel Cameron, right? She holds on to her titles. And this is another case where the smaller fighter goes up in weight. So Katie Taylor went up in weight and couldn't get the job done. Now they're calling for a rematch, but Chantel says, hey, I want to come down to 135 and fight for your belts. And I think you're going to
what?
get, well, I think you're going to get the same outcome. You know what I mean? I
I think
really
so. I
do.
think Cameron's got her number.
Cameron's got her number. They did fight in the amateurs in 2011. Katie did beat her, but Katie had about 4 or 5 years experience on her. Chantel was just kind of coming into the amateur scene then. So I don't know if you can really count that as, a solid victory, but I mean, Katie Taylor's getting up there now, man. She is getting older. Um, we talk about guys retiring. How do we go about talking about if women should retire based on the world we live in?
Yeah, that's up to, I don't know, man. Katie Taylor didn't look good. I don't know if it's all just the homecoming. I think part of it is she didn't train hard enough. I know they're not saying that, but like you said, she was gassed in the first few rounds. You're a high level boxer and you're gassed in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah,
Something's
she
up with
just
the
looked
training.
gas. She just looked gassed before she just looked gassed, right? I
Yeah.
mean, she took forever to come out, which is fine. Soak it all in. I get it. I get the moment of it all, right? But I mean, overall though, like she just looked really like it's like she woke up in the fifth round and said, "Oh shit, where am I? Oh,
Yeah.
right. Okay,
And
let's
age could
get
be
going."
catching up for too, right?
Yeah,
And
and
she's
I
seen,
think age has to play with it. I think there's miles on her as well. Like, I mean, we talk about the guys punches and hitting and this and that, but I mean, at their own level, women punching women, I mean, it has to hurt as well to a certain
yep.
extent, right? I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
you're getting walloped. I mean, you're still having those effects on your body. You're never going to leave the ring 100%.
No,
after your first fight, and you're never going to enter the ring 100% after your first fight. You know what I mean? It's a steady decline. Therefore,
I just
on
think Cameron's a better fighter. The age, attrition is all caught up to Taylor, and she didn't look very good, man. And she lost
you did.
too bad in her hometown. Could have been a
And
beautiful match for her,
it
but
could,
she couldn't
well,
do
I
it.
mean, before that fight, Jerry, Gary, what's his name? Gary was fighting on the co-main event, another Irish fighter.
I didn't watch
Uh,
that.
I did, man. That Japanese, the Lopez, sorry, Lopez knocked him out
Yeah, I
in
didn't
like
see that.
3 rounds. And like this was another, like, the co-main event, Ireland Sun. This is the next big name, and Gary Cully, next big name in Irish boxing, and the whole 9 yards, right? Like all, Connor's in the crowd, everyone's there,
Yeah, I seen Connor there.
right?
Yeah,
And this guy got walloped, and you just saw his legs go from underneath him. Like Lopez, a little guy, man, but he came in there, and he, respect to him, he just took that crowd out of it. And then Cameron comes in and does what she does. That's a shitty night for Irish boxing, man.
it was, man. Yeah, I just had a feeling that Taylor wasn't going to win it. I mean, I wasn't sure, but hats off to Cameron. You came into her country, you won, so good for you.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. So they are talking rematch. I guess that probably will happen down the road. But that all being said and done, guess what, guys? Clarissa Shields, she is the GOAT. She is probably the
Right
best
now,
pound for pound
yep.
fighter in the world. She's coming up in a couple weeks as well. So I don't know, man. This has been the year. It feels like the year of upsets. We've seen some
There's been a
names
few.
fall, right? So I mean, an interesting year so far. We're not even halfway through the year yet, and we've had some amazing stories and things like that emerge. And wow, just some good stuff here. But do you think that Loma and Haney are going to start the trend now, where you're going to get to see the bigger names fight each other?
No, I will come in waves, ebbs and flows. Sometimes you will, sometimes. Well, it depends on the fighter.
Well, we're looking at four of them right in the face right now. I mean, you got Haney, Loma, Shakir, Tank. At one point I would have put Tiafimo in there as well, right? They're
Yeah,
all
he's fighting
around
a couple
there,
weeks here too.
right?
We
So
got
I
a good
mean,
fight. Good fight this Saturday. We got Laura versus
oh
Wood.
yeah,
Revenge
brother.
for Wood. He got knocked
Yeah,
out last time they fought. This one's in Manchester.
yeah.
Um, and Laura, like, he's not like a top fighter, but he's good. He's got one of the best left hooks, and he takes a lot of punishment. He knows how to turn it up. I don't see Lee Wood winning this fight. I think he's going to get knocked out again. He
Yeah.
did. It was a good fight last time,
Well,
but
I'll be honest, man. I mean, kind
he
of
fun.
Lee was holding his own until that knockout happened,
He
right?
was. Yeah.
I mean, it was a very close fight. It could, at that point, I was kind of leading on Lee Wood as the winner at that point. But again, knockout's a knockout. You tap that chin, you get the right
Yeah.
spot, you're
And he
gonna
got
go
knocked
down,
out.
right?
I think Laura's going to do it again, man.
Well, let's find out. Let's see where it goes down. I
It's in
think you're gonna.
Manchester. It's on his own,
Yeah,
so it
yeah,
should
it's
be a
going to
good
be
fight.
really good. Another fight I wanted to touch on here is a rematch from a few months ago. Lopez Conklin for that belt as well. A fight that Conklin was winning, and then Lopez just came out of nowhere and knocked him out. So,
Yeah.
this is another great fight. We got two great fights here, man.
Yeah, it should be good.
That's on ESPN Plus, so that's 6 p.m. That's the evening fight.
Yeah,
So
Laura's
daytime,
on in
afternoon,
the
yeah.
afternoon.
So no, both fights are going to be really good as well. You also got Joseph Parker against Opalu on May 24th. That's coming up. Well, that's coming up yesterday.
Oh, what was it? Yes, I didn't even see
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Today's the 25th. All
I
right,
didn't even
so
see it.
yeah. So that's done. Basically, I guess that's basically it
But the
for
big
what
fight of the
we have.
weekend is Wood versus Laura. Revenge for Wood. He
Well,
said he's
Wood versus Laura is going to be
get the win.
good, but that Lopez Conklin fight looks pretty good too, though,
That'll be
bro. I
good too.
mean, but you know what? They're not going head to head, so we can technically watch both of them together. So that's going to be fun, man. ESPN, DAZN, giving us our entertainment for this weekend in the world of boxing.
Yeah.
We talked earlier about what was it? Oh yeah, gangsters and mafias. So what happened on this day in boxing?
Let's get right into it. So on this day in boxing, 1965, I've talked about this before. I'm listening to Audible book, The Murder of Sonny Liston. Just so happened this timed out perfectly. I've talked about this fight before. 1965, only 2,500 people were there. Rocky Marciano was in the crowd. Interesting enough. Ali Liston too. Basically, midway through the first round, Liston threw a left jab. Ali went over it fast, hit him with the right. Down goes Liston. Liston falls on his back. He rolls over. He gets up on his right knee, and then he falls back again. This is the infamous line when Ali says, "Get up, sucker. Nobody believe this is for real." After the fight's done, George Chuvalo gets into the ring and pushes Ali and says, "This is a fix. This is a fix." Ali's like, "No, no, no, no." Now, I've been listening to this book. It's all about the mob. Sonny Liston lived in Vegas. He's a very, very bad boy. He was connected with some gangsters. However, the black Muslims that Ali was hanging with supposedly came to Liston's gym and said, "You will lose this fight, or we're going to kill you and your family." That's what Liston has said to a Sports Illustrated writer, to a bunch of different people. He said that. This is the phantom punch versus the anchor punch. The crowd is saying it was a phantom punch. Ali's saying it was an anchor punch. So it's 50-50 on what happened. My gut's telling me that he threw the fight. And he bet on himself to lose also, Sonny Liston. It's another kicker to it. And maybe it was a flash knockdown. He was supposed to throw the fight later on in the rounds, but I guess he figured this was the time to do it because it was a legit knockdown, but he was okay. They're saying looking in his eyes weren't rolling. He was fine. He was looking around. He told everybody after, many people, Cole's confidence, I threw the fight because of the radical Muslims Ali was hanging with or threatening me. I didn't want to deal with it. Because you got to remember, Liston already owed money to the mob. He had mob connections. We owed a lot of money. He was dealing heroin. He was punching out guys. He was sleeping with lots and lots of women. He was all over the place. So nobody can ever prove it. But watching it and listening to this book leads me to incline that listen to the fight. Now, was Ali in on it? Probably knew about it. I mean, like people praying Ali as a saint. He was no saint back in the day. This guy could be a real, real bad guy. And anyways, yeah, this day, 1965, the famous first round phantom punch versus the anchor punch. They say, Liston said himself, he threw the fight. He documented it many times. We'll never know. It's 50-50. Maybe he didn't. Can't prove it either way.
It's kind of weird because, I mean, and when you told us, thank you for this, man. That's really cool. When you started with it, the first thing you talked about was Ali standing over him and saying, "Get up, no one believes you."
Yeah, that's what
I mean,
why would he say that?
Why would he say that and then go backwards and say, "No, it was an anchor punch"? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, a fix of that magnitude everyone has to be involved.
Yeah, and let's remember that Sonny Liston he's going to the Tropicana hotels, he's going to Sahara hotels, he was gambling. Sometimes Sonny Liston would be a debt collector. He'd go punch guys out. I mean, he'd go to the bar and drink. He cheated on his wife so many times, fathered many kids out of wedlock. Geraldine, his wife, always stuck beside him. Like I said, I almost finished the book. It's an amazing book. So much gangster stories from, like, Liston was a bad dude. Like, he's a bad dude. He did a lot of bad stuff.
No, I mean,
now they're saying that I might as well tie it up. How he died basically is either he did a heroin overdose, accidental, or the mob took him out because he had a bunch of debts. We don't know. Nobody knows.
Well, neither way is a nice way to go out. So, I mean, I guess the heroin overdose would probably be the most.
It's just weird because, 19, whatever it was, a few years after the fight, because Liston died in the early 70s, he had an article with the guy from Sports Illustrated when he told him off the record, I did throw it. Because I bet on myself to lose, and the other mob guys were betting on me to lose. And the other mob guys who were like running the book said, don't bet on Liston, he will lose. So it's kind of a rumor around town they're all going to lose. George Chevalier even pushed all these. This is a fix. This is a fix because of this unbelievable punch. I can't say either way, but we'll never know.
I think if he was going to go down, he should have just stayed down. Taking the knee probably created more problems.
Yeah, you got up and he kind of looked around. And...
Yeah, no, that's just unfortunate. I don't know, man. So
mobsters back in the day. And loan sharks and gambling and this Vegas just getting rolling around that.
Dude, I was watching Casino the other night, watching the end part of it anyways, and it's just kind of like you look at the blood on that city. Just what it took, how many people died, what was done to build the Vegas that we see.
I know.
It's
a lot cleaned up now. There's a little bit of corruption in boxing, but not like it used to be.
No, I mean, the sport has cleaned up considerably, but now we're dealing with issues that can be fixed by those in charge, right? I mean,
interesting. Funny that you said that to me. I did hear Bob Arum's clip when Loma walked by. He's like, you easily won that fight. And they said to his manager too. And that's Bob. And this is both of his fighters. He's really got no skin in the game. And then Bob said all the fans were shocked that Loma didn't win. That he didn't win. Like,
no. But I know he publicly can't say anything because he's a promoter.
Yeah, he didn't realize he'd be caught on the hot mic.
Right. So, I mean, you look at that now, like, okay, so I don't think Haney signed with them yet, right? I haven't heard anything.
Said.
Well, that's nothing's come out. So until
not
we see something officially on the books, there's nothing there. So, I mean, this dude is technically a free agent until otherwise told.
Yeah,
he's undisputed free agent.
Yeah.
what do you see him doing now, based on how this is
Fight
all
with
kind
Top
of?
Rank so he can fight Shakur.
Well, does he do that, or does he just stay as a free agent and go jump around promotion and promotion
That
Canelo
could be.
style?
But if he's not going to fight Shakur next, I can tell you what Bob will do. Shakur, Loma, let's go. That'll be the
Well,
fight.
well, that would probably be the fight, right? Let's just see, but I mean, I think
I'm
first
not
off,
sure what Haney's going to do. You're right. He could jump the Showtime. I'm not sure what he's going to do.
well, I
Fight
mean,
Tank.
look, 135 are all killers, okay? Um, I don't think Devin Haney has faced anyone who can hit harder than Tank,
No, he hasn't.
right? Like, and I like
He's
David.
faced more skilled guy like a Loma, but he can't hurt you
Yeah,
like can.
no, like I don't think if Tank hits him clean,
He's
he's
going
knocking
down.
him out,
Oh
right?
yeah.
There's two guys right now that I don't think Haney can beat. That's Tank and Shakir.
I would put three guys in there: Tank, Shakur, and Loma.
Well, I don't know. I think if they have a rematch, I think Devin Haney would come back a little bit better than that and dominate that fight a bit more. He's always done good in rematches and stuff like that. I'm only basing it on past experiences. Now that he's tasted Lomo, now that they've experienced each other, I have a feeling that Haney would make the adjustments he needs. He didn't make the adjustments on the fly that he needed to
Loma
in
will
that
too, though.
fight.
He's very
No,
smart.
it's good. I think you're just going to get another killer fight, right? Honestly.
Speaking of killer fights, August 19th in Quebec City, Arthur Beterbiev versus
Yeah.
Callum Smith.
Yeah, I know. I saw that as well. I was going to ask you about that. What are you thinking, man? I mean, that's our money. That's our currency.
I know. I was thinking about. I was going to ask you about that too, man. It might be a fight we might have to get to.
I think we should. Why not? Montreal.
Be cool to see. It'd be cool to see a fight in our,
in our own backyard, and we
It's
can
a bit of
probably,
a flight, 5 hours, but not that big deal.
yeah, but who knows, man? Maybe Molitor might be around. Maybe they'll be out that way as well. So who knows who we can find out there, right? So
Your boy John Pascal will be there.
John Pascal might be there as well.
Guys.
Right? Who knows? Drake might be. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good fight. That's a really good fight.
I think we should look into that. That could be something potentially kind of fun. All right, I tell you what, man. Why don't we wrap this baby up here? Nice and sweet, precise and concise. Woo.
Good one, really good one.
Right. I thought we would get more heated, to be honest, man. I was getting prepped and everything.
I gotta say one thing about Andre Ward. So for him to sit there and say, to take a shot at the casual fans for booing Haney and saying they don't know what they're talking about, dude, these are the guys without these fans that go to the fights, that buy the pay-per-views, and without these fans, Mr. Ward, you wouldn't be sitting ringside commentating. So that was a low move by Andre Ward, and that was
It was a low move, but I also understand what he was trying to say there. I'm not justifying it or anything, but
yeah, I know what he's trying to say.
But sometimes
his boy's Haney.
Sometimes the casual fan has to be told a little bit too, right? I mean, just because you're the casual fan and you're booing and stuff like that, you know what? There could have been a better way of doing it. There could have been a more.
I would like to ask Andre Ward. So you're going to knock the fans for booing them, but yet these are the fans that put the money in their pockets. So they got a right to their opinion. You for the dog these fans. All these fans, you're working at the gas station, dude.
Yeah, so, I tell you what, man. I think emotions were so high after that fight.
Well, both Haney and him are from the same town. They're buddies. And if you listen to the fight,
yeah,
Bradley was calling it as he sees it. You could tell Ward had a little bias towards Haney. Anytime he had the action, when Loma did something good, Ward was kind of hesitant to give him the props. After I heard that, I listened to it more thoroughly the second time I watched it. You could see Bradley called it fair, but Ward had a bias.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
you're from the same hometown, right?
Yeah, no, I get that completely, but I just also feel like, for the most part, Andre Ward, this is the first time anyone's ever complained about Andre Ward, right?
Yeah, he's been pretty good
in this
so
role.
far.
He's been solid, right? So I almost get the sense that, like I said, emotions were so high that night.
Yeah, but he's a commentator. He shouldn't be.
Yeah,
he shouldn't be. He's got to stay neutral and then talk about it later. Not the same night, dude.
No, I get it. But emotions, stuff like that. I mean, I'm not saying he's right. I'm not saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know why he's hot, but the days of the classy the classy commentator, kind of trying to just be neutral, kind of calling it as he not giving their opinion, are kind of gone. You got the guys like Andre Ward to kind of be a hothead and kind of mouth off at people.
Well, I mean, in the UFC, it's the same thing with Daniel Cormier, right? There's so many guys don't want him calling their fights because they feel that he's just too biased and what have you, right? So I mean, I guess it just goes across all platforms.
I mean, everyone has a little bit of a bias, but I mean, some guys are over the top with it, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
There you
all
go.
Right, Chance, I tell you what, man, we got a great day of boxing coming up off air. Let's talk a little bit more about this Montreal thing, if it's something we want to do.
Yeah.
On that note, man, I tell you what, let's just sit back, relax. I think the weekend's gonna look nice. Enjoy it,
Gonna
have
be a good
fun.
weekend.
I think you're gonna be on the road enjoying a little R&R, so have a good time on your time off.
Yeah.
And you're back, we're back on Tuesday, aren't we?
We're gonna be back and ready to roll.
We will be back on Tuesday to talk about Night of Champions in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. That's happening on Saturday too. So we have a
Yeah,
full
it's
day here,
busy.
man.
That's an early one too.
Yeah, that's an afternoon one. Oh wow. So would Laura and the WWE for afternoon brunch? How's that sound?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. All right, guys. On that note, my name is Bobby Sanson, and I am joined with my man with the master plan, Mr. Chance Michaels.
And in the words of the great AC/DC, those that download on the like and subscribe to the podcast, we salute you.
We do salute you. And in the words of Ed Whalen, in the meantime and in between time, that's it for Samp and Chance. Everybody have a great, great weekend. Please be safe, drink, be merry, do all the good things that you want to do, but be safe about it. Get home safe. Why? Because we want you to come back and listen to us on Tuesday. That's the most important thing. All right, guys. Have a great night. Samp and Chance out.